session. And now this is going to be uh, exclusively where Sonia Gandhi plays the most effective role. In fact, she is the de facto prime minister, not in terms of law, in legal theory, but de facto in actual reality, she was the prime minister and also the president forever, either she or someone immediate family. And that is how she became the kingmaker, if not herself the queen. And she encouraged terrorism and foreign intervention. She encouraged it. And this is the topic today. She is going to gain importance in helping both the Pope and the other intelligence agencies in foreign countries by evacuating, changing the demography, and also looting the exchequer. So this is the topic. So dictatorship of Sonia Gandhi actually began just after her marriage. I mean, quietly, as she was living with her mother-in-law, she was playing a role of sending so many of the treasures from the Nehru Museum to other countries, and which were auctioned. So that kind of loot and that kind of rare sands being sold without knowledge of parliament and without anybody, that side show was going on. At the same time, she was very active in consolidating her position in getting rid of Sanjay Gandhi and getting rid of Menka Gandhi out of the house, official house, where she became the only person with her children in that house. So you see, it was a very foolproof kind of scheme, where eventually she will get rid of all her enemies within the family who were related to them, Nehru's, and who were also part of the immediate family. So consolidating her power. And that she used dictatorship. So Congress, now, just now I was reading a line given by, tweeted by Subhash Kak, and he said that civilizational decline in India is inbuilt in the constitution. And I 100% agree with that. So Congress must have Nehru's descendants. This was decided as far back as 1944, when 1942 actually, when Indira got married, and with subterfuge they arranged immediately a Vedic show of marriage, and that way she became Gandhi, and continuation. So dynasty was the lens through which Nehru was viewing freedom of India, that his dynasty will rule. So the hedges that he made within the constitution by manipulation were by changing the rules of the Congress party itself. Congress had nothing to do, should not have anything to do with the emergency fund of the government of India. That is not Nehru's property nor anybody's. It is not private property. So, and that was a loophole where then they did not have an active location within the parliament, which is called archives of the government. So instead of putting the archives in the government library secure, they were all going to the Congress Party headquarters. Now, how wrong it is, you can see. Right now, we do not have the actual copies of the agreements that Nehru did with China. You see what kind of agreements he did, what kind of agreements were already there from British times. You see, the whole situation of McMahon Line and where it goes, Tibet being part of Kashmir and Ladakh also. You see, these were agreements that were handed over to, along with transfer of power to Nehru, and they are not available now. So where are they? All of those are archived, not in the government archives, but in the private possession of the Congress Party. And this is very important because that is one of the reasons why a Congress Party is forced to choose either the son or the mother or the daughter. You see, it has to be. And about the fund, it was a condition laid down by Nehru that this fund can only be used if an immediate family member of Nehru would sign. Now, as if that is now private property of Nehru dynasty. So you see, these little things are not known to people, and then they ask the questions: how did it happen? How did it happen? It happened because there were so many little things which were ignored both by the parliament, or they had no knowledge, or some other manipulation, legal manipulations. So right up to 2014, the government acted as an instrument of oppression, and it also did chokehold of human rights. So chokehold is you squeeze the Hindus on the name of tolerance, as if they alone bear the burden of conscience and burden of uh, preserving human rights. So now my question is that subjugation is subjugation. Whether you are slave to X or a slave to Y, it doesn't matter. Subjugator's identity does not matter. If we were under the British or under Hitler or some other person like that, Biden, we would still be slaves. And Hindus continued practicing tolerance, thinking that it is our government. What difference does it make? Nehru himself, consoled people, the Home Minister at that time. He said, if Caro is corrupt, Pratap Singh Caro, it doesn't matter. And in Hindi, he said, Desh ka paisa desh mein hai. It is looted by one of the prominent families of Punjab, the exchequer, not spent on the subjects. How does it not matter? How does it inconsequential? So Hindu practiced tolerance. The more tolerance they showed, the more they were expected to show. So this is the loophole that continues, whether Narendra Modi is there or Yogi is there. This point will never leave Hindus, because Gandhi had made them so. So you see, the legacy of Gandhi is not just destroying and installing a dynasty and keeping the Muslims and all the anti-national uh, people traitors, and treating them as if they are his personal godsons. Um, his legacy was destruction of a mindset. The bravery of Hindus, which they showed up to 1000 AD, except for here and there, that was gradually breaking down. So now every Hindu is thinking that, it doesn't matter. These are not my monkeys who are suffering, and this is not my circus. So, and they are onlookers. You see, they are onlookers. And every single state election, um, they go like this, as if, it's a shock. It is not a shock. It was meant to be, because you are not doing anything. You see, if you are not getting rid of that mental inertia, and you have allergy to knowing the history and learning the lessons from the past, then obviously you are on a path of collective suicide. And that is exactly what is happening. And if this mentality continues, Hindus will be flourishing in other countries, not in their own. So, for this collective personality disorientation of the Hindus, one finds one criminal, and that is Gandhi. And his legacy is not leaving us. So, now separatism and foreign intervention. And this is what is bothering India after 1965. Yeah, when Naxalites started. And in 1970, it got entrenched, not just as Leninist influence, but as hardcore Maoist influence, you see. And there's a difference between the two. ISI continued cross-border attacks till this day. CIA had covert operations, and they haven't stopped. And if the government has a strategy, of course, these are covert operations, they have to be countered by covert operations also. And you and I don't have to know about it, should not know about it. But still, it doesn't seem to be very aggressive kind of strategy of raw, taking an offensive. That is what I mean. So, foreign origin of Khalistan movement. I mentioned this in the last one, and this time I'm just reiterating that we were in 73 in this country, 71. In 73, this Khalistani movement had already started by the CIA. And people were, Americans were reading Gurbani with that chamber, and the floats were going through, the procession was going, it is called Prabhat Pheri, through the streets of Manhattan. Now, it must seem like, we all felt flattered that America is finally, understanding the contributions of the Sikhs and what it is. So then Indira Gandhi made another mistake of installing a counterpart of Gurudwara Prabandhan Committee leader, and this I discussed last time. So I'm just highlighting who are the foreign interventionists and who are the Indians carrier of those operations. Not CIA or ISI, they are not present in India. Then who is throwing the stones? And who is collecting weapons? Where are they being collected and kept? Where are the warehouses? Why they are not being seized? So those kind of things we have to understand. So Maoist terrorism, this started in Calcutta. I was there, and I have testimony in the book. Another gentleman who was posted after I left, a close friend of mine, um, an engineer by profession, and he gave me a nice, experiential how the Maoist trade unions were working. So then there is the Naxalite belt. This belt I'm not referring to now, Bengal. This belt is along the Vindhyachal mountains, starting from Maharashtra, going through Madhya Pradesh and a little bit Andhra Pradesh and all the way to Odisha. So this is the Naxalite belt now, because most of the tribal concentration, and they are very poor and very illiterate, they depended on the forest resources and survived very well. But when the resources, including the mines and the forests and everything land, was acquired by the British government, these people became very poor and helpless. Now they are called scheduled tribes. So this is the belt where maximum uh, uh, cases of terror uh, and full-fledged terror, but localized. Those groups are doing against Hindus. That recently there was that Palaghar Swamis, sadhus who were stoned to death, and there are several other cases. In the same way, a while back, a few decades back, in Odisha, an Australian guy was there. And he was, the name is not clicking, but in any way, he was trying to go to village, converting people. But the villagers noticed that aside from this conversion business and lecture, he is also, molesting and doing child abuse and raping women. To that, the people objected. So, as a result, somebody killed that guy from Australia. And the government did not go into a conduct a probe what really happened. Instead, immediately they picked up two persons from Bajrang Dal, and they were executed. I mean, if justice has to be swift, this can be swift if it is somebody other than a Hindu is involved. And this guy from no name from Australia, there are plenty of those people moving around in that belt. Not only he was given compensation, his nearby relatives, but they gave some kind of award to his posthumously. I mean, this is the Indian government. And at the same time, Lakshmanan Swami, he was doing opening new schools for the people, Adivasi tribals, and the Christians became very much threatened by that. So they killed him, they killed principal of the school, and quite a few people. Nothing was happened. No justice. Suddenly it seemed as if the judiciary has gone underground. Yeah, even state level inquiry was not done. So the Christians killed and they blamed the communists. And this is what I mean by communists and Christians bhaichara. If communists did it, they said that we didn't do it, Christians did it. Palaghar sadhus were killed by communists and they blamed the Christians. And Lakshmananand was killed by Christians and he blamed the communists. So this, blame game, and the government was not going to do anything anyway. So why bother? And no probes were done, no inquiries, no nothing. So as a result of all these, things, nation was divided as per identities. Um, they are called subaltern identities. Actually, the word is taken up, borrowed from anthropology, um, and Americans. They are using, academia is using that word for the oppressed classes of India, as if everybody was oppressed, subaltern identities and territorial identities. In their mind, right from the beginning, when India got to freedom, they had already divided India in multiple vertical layers, horizontal layers. So, and this was further increased and it continued expanding with the Minority Commission. The Muslim never asked that we should have more rights. But somehow or other, the government thought, why not have a structure commission and review the minority rights issue? And they included the religious minorities. So, and same way, the Mandal Commission continued increasing, expanding the scheduled classes, and the people who were left for actual jobs, they are too many, 79% Hindus vying for 31% jobs. So you can understand how difficult it is. So socialism and religious appeasement, and Nehru had accelerated the pace of expansion. And under these two rogue words, minority appeasement and socialism, uh, India became poorer and poorer, and the job opportunities were declining. Some people were given too much. So, and then the funny thing happened. Some Christian complained to Nehru that, we are being oppressed in Tamil Nadu, Kerala. And he made this condition, added this condition on his own. We permit by our constitution not only freedom of conscience and belief, but a right to proselytism. In other words, Christians have a right to convert us. I mean, if there is a limit um, to stupidity, if stupidity had been a finite thing, it would have been understandable that, it will stop somewhere. It doesn't, because it is an infinite substance. In Punjabi, one would say toro moloro, manipulation. And then, not only that, he put it in writing and gave it to the Home Ministry as a directive circular that Christianity is one of the important religions of India. Since when? Nobody had heard before 1000 AD. Established here for nearly 2000 years. What nonsense. Nobody had heard about that. And he says, what we must not do anything which gives rise to any feeling of oppression or suppression in the minds of our Christian friends. I tell you, when I read this, when I was doing the research and read all these, lines, my blood pressure was like skyrocketing. So even going through all this material is not so easy. So widespread unrest and exodus of people. Many, after Mandal Commission, many young kids, they burnt themselves, put them to fire, that we have no opportunities. And of course, that is the time period, 70s and 60s, and of course 80s, when people with merit and no potential here, they started leaving the country. So, failure of Rajiv Gandhi. Now, this is in the 80s. Indira Gandhi is dead. And Rajiv Gandhi was the pilot, mediocre intelligence. The whole family is mediocre, was. So he became the designated prime minister. Had to be, because it had to stay in the dynasty. And his whole time was split up in scandals, Beaufort scandal, and exodus from Jammu Kashmir, terrorism in Jammu Kashmir, and then Bhopal gas tragedy, where 4.5 lakh people died immediately by morning. And this guy gives a private jet to the uh, that company, Union Carbide, to leave the country. You see, the guy has caused this tragedy, which is going on even now. For generations, it is going on. And you are letting the culprit run out of the country, and no compensation, no nothing. And whatever little fund came, that was eaten at the top layers, and the people never got anything. Uh, I went to Bhopal twice, but I didn't have time to, mingle with the people. But when my son went there, he was curious to know what is going on as a result of that gas leak. And after that, he decided that he will never buy anything made by Union Carbide. And he wrote to me that don't ever buy Energizer. You see, people who are sitting here feel the pain and the pinch, but India doesn't care. And then the exodus of pundits happened. And you see, these things will take, each exodus will take, like, 2 sessions. So my suggestion is that please read that, because I interviewed many people in from Kashmir who given me their first-hand experiences, how they evacuated. And also I have interviews, somebody shared with me, with those people who were culprits, some of the culprits, and who were in Tihar jail. And what did they say? He said it was easier for us to send 400,000 people without shooting them. Why waste 400,000 bullets? This is a quote I put in my book. So, and now, so the role of the 5 M's. This is a famous, like, uh, acronym kind of things. Marxists, mullahs, missionaries, Macaulay's, media. Media covers entertainment, film industry, communication, and both press and television, radio. And Macaulay's, who are they? They are the people who are considering themselves brown sahibs, uh, who say that we are like in the British uh, system of education, and we must know Shakespeare, and who cares about Indian writers or classical uh, literature. So gradually, with the influence of all these, ancient Indian culture was eroded. It still is being eroded, because Hindu Code Bill gave judicial intervention in Hindu common law, not in any other sect's common law. So this folly was also responsible, that every day some stupid opinion is given by the judiciary recently that a woman has a right to adultery. You see, again, I said stupidity has no, it's an infinite kind of substance. Changing key events of history. See, this is now I'm building up. by different sects. So starting with the Sikh who have joined, not in this category, but this is the sixth partner now. They have changing the key events of history. For example, Taran Taran in Punjab. We used to visit that Gurdwara almost every other day, and there used to be Shri Ram, Lakshman, Sita, their whole, murals on the side of the uh, inner Gurdwara. Somebody thought of an idea that get rid of this. Hindus have nothing to do with this. So they said it is dilapidated, the paint is chipping, whitewashed, and put the new pictures. So this is called erasing history. Um, and then they started attacking on Hindu traditions by saying that, Sikh marriage ceremony is a separate kind of thing, and Muslims have their own common law, which we must respect. Our law, nobody is actually, even though it was decided by Ambedkar that common law always prevails because it has prevailed for centuries and evolved through the emotional and ecological experience of the people. And the role of judiciary, I have mentioned already. Hindus became dhimmis in their own country. And if anybody says that it is because of course, Gandhi is responsible, Nehru is responsible, you can say X, Y, Z, say from A to Z. Everybody is responsible. But then, if you don't remember that we are also responsible, mostly we are responsible. If somebody hits my child and I tell my child not to hit back, you are a better person than this. You lost you're not only checked, you're checkmated. So all of these connected with foreign intervention. Marxists are getting from China and Russia. Mullahs are getting from assorted varieties of Saudi Arab countries. Missionaries are getting from everywhere. I was amazed when I was in a small little place, Chikamagalur, or some hard to pronounce name, in Andhra Pradesh, or just border of Karnataka, somewhere. And I met a group of people, and they thought we are speaking English, probably we are tourists. And they were, of course, white. And we knew that they are foreign visitors. So casually I asked them that, are you here to visit? Because that is the 9 Brahma temples in that height of the mountains. They said, no, we are from New Zealand. We have come here to open hospitals and schools. And I said, schools and hospitals for whom? Because the total population of this entire 50 miles radius is less than 10,000, and they are scattered. So you are opening a hospital here, and if you get out near the hills, you will hardly see any person. So, and I point blank said that you are here to convert. There's no other angle. And of course, my son was there and he didn't want to escalate. I mean, why not? I am a foreigner in India at that time, and they are foreigners. It doesn't bother me to quibble with them and show them their place. But then I was restrained. So these are all connected. They are getting their fair share, and media is in the pocket of Pew Foundation, World Vision. And the reason why I did not dwell too much on this, even in the book, except for 3 chapters, because already so much material has been written. Rajiv Malhotra has written a book. And if you go to Amazon, .com, and there you see put Rajiv Malhotra. The book's name is Breaking India. It came in 2011, just after my book. And the map on that, you don't have to read the book. Of course, you can read also, but just see the map, how India is shown by the world vision. And Rajiv Malhotra was, talking, and when the guy went outside in World Vision's office, he took quietly the picture of that. And then he said that, what is this map? He says, this is what India is going to be, Dalithistan and Dravidistan and this and that. And that map is absolutely, I couldn't get the copyright and I did not put it, but it is available, the front page, the title page. So, foreign intervention is there. Funding, propaganda, religious corporations. You see, governments are involved, billionaires are involved, religious corporations, they are working like multinational corporations. The only objective is religion, conversions. And in fact, Pope, in his visit, openly declared in Bombay that the next 21st century is the century of Asian Christians. You see, here is a guest, invited guest, coming to our country and saying this thing to our face, throwing this at our face. So we have two sets of penal and civil code. Actually, we have whimsical interpretation of the law, in the sense that law will be interpreted in different ways for the powerless and the powerful. Now, here is an example. Shahbano case. This case was about getting alimony, and the lady contested, I have 3 children. I need beyond 3 months. What will happen to my kids after 3 months? And the judiciary gave the verdict that it will continue till the children are at least 12 years old. And then the Muslim prevailed on Rajiv Gandhi. And Rajiv Gandhi made a bypass the verdict and made retrospectively a new law where you cannot touch the common law of the Muslims. And this is what is called women's equality. I mean, you really need somebody with guts and common sense. That isn't she a suffering woman? So, neocolonialism. Now, new terms are being borrowed by the by CIA and all these operatives, IMF, the International Development Fund, and a whole lot of things. And there was one book that was absolutely eye-opening kind of experience, that was hoodwinked. And then the second book was Economic Hunchmen of IMF or something like that. They were written by the same person, John Parker. He himself was part of that operation. And later on, after resignation, he wrote those books. And he said that new words are being used by them to make a strategy. That the new wars are not going to be through knives and swords or bullets. This will be through multiplier effect. So you have different groups. They will soften the erase or mitigate the effect of religious traditions. Then there's another group which will offer some humanitarian aid. Then there is another group doing something, and each has a multiplier effect. This will feed this, and escalate. This will feed this. Eventually, you are reaching a pinnacle in a multiplier effect and in a spiraling way. Each loophole or a fault line of India will be exploited to their advantage. And this is an interesting quote. I casually found it. She is a British journalist, and they are trying to defang her because she's fearless. She said Pakistan is an Islamic country, but wants the Hindu majority to be secular. China is crushing Islam in China, but is concerned about Islamists in Kashmir. So this is I think this should be on the billboard of India's main gates. India Gate should have another smaller kind of holding this kind of poster. What business they have to interfere in our affairs? But then this requires guts, vision, and some kind of desire. So these NGOs are working as anti-national entities. Godhra was an example where all of these descended on Godhra, and horrendous stories were made. Amnesty International joined, Missionaries of Charity. This is a very important organization. It's worldwide, and the head of this was Teresa. I refuse to call her mother because I saw her mothering when I was posted in Calcutta. And she was also active at that time in Calcutta. And her two of the ashrams that they say she built hospitals and charitable this and that. Actually, there was one small place in Alipur. This was a Prem Kutir. There was another within my jurisdiction, Nirmal Ashram or something. And no school, no nothing. And nothing was available to people. People in pain used to make lines outside their small little window, and I'm eyewitness to that. And they would say that we ran out of aspirin. And if any medicine was ever given, that was given which was expired. So, and people were suffering. And one of the nuns mentioned that, people are suffering. She says they should. Jesus Christ suffered too. So this was also one of the important. And Indian government gave her Bharat Ratan for conversions. She even used the IMF funds and Food for Children International Agency, their funds. So for free lunches, which were meant for all the poor people in the camps, it was given only to those who are converted. My own staff, they had two names. And sometimes they spoke to each other with their Christian names. And I say, who is she? Who is he? And they told me that, we have other names beside our birth names because we collect free lunch from Teresa, Mother Teresa. So conversion and tyranny, they go hand in hand. Homegrown missionaries, that was a brilliant idea of Home Minister Pant, himself a Pandit. He told one of the missionary groups that, what you can do, you convert Indian people and make them the leaders. They'll be more aggressive and militant in converting. This is Govind Vallabh Pant. So these are homegrown missionaries, Dayal, John Dayal, and this and that. Unholy alliances with the media. Now they have recruited all these Sardasai, Barkhadat, Harshmand, and I have a list of those people who are being paid by one or other group. some Swiss church organizations, some Baptists, like that. And when the soft diplomacy, softening, that fails, then they do the violent protest. One of the long violent protest was against building a dam on Narmada River. And that was a Greenpeace, all foreigners. Then there was another against a nuclear facility that it will affect the environment. And then that never matured until recently. For about 25 years, it was pending. Those are violent protests by the Christians. Then, apart from all of these assorted varieties of 117 political parties, they have a working mafia. So they can do anything and nobody will touch. You see, gangsters, dadagiri. There is a Indian word for that. So Muslim terrorism, everybody knows small-scale skirmishes are always happening in this village, in that neighborhood. Indians are used to it. Mosques and madrasas are weapon-holding places, and also propaganda machinery. Every Friday they are reminded that Hindus are kafir and Allahu Akbar, that God is great, we are getting rid of the. So in the next 5 days, if they forget, then the seventh day, they are again reminded. And so you see, the year after 1990, when the exodus happened from Kashmir, there were 2 riots in Bombay. A jewelry district was destroyed. The Dawood Abraham took over the film industry, and he said, I will make the change in such a way that the heroine will be sitting naked and the hero will be Muslim. This is a quoted statement. Then there is Gujarat 2001, Godhra. Nobody mentions till this day in the inquiry reports how it started. It was a pre-planned massacre. And there was a reason why ISI did that. No, not at that time. Sorry. And this was independently. This was just vengeance and creating violence. Then there was a bomb blast near a mosque in 2007. Probably they did it themselves. And they put a Sadhvi, Pragya, and Purohit, a colonel in the army, and quite a few others, because they were running free educational institution, and they were also having social reform groups. And that Bombay 2008, everybody knows. And recently Shaheen Bagh. And while this is going on, in this scenario, Hindus are labeled as saffron terror, the face of saffron terror. And they are called fascist, majoritarianist, nationalist, and any other terrorist organization. On top of the list is RSS. Those RSS people have never even seen what a pistol is. So they are bodybuilders, they are like Boy Scouts, and they have maximum a lathi, not lathi size, small danda. So that is how we are. Now, this is part of the soft diplomacy. It is happening here. So this propaganda will be repeated by Indian media as a gospel fact, and multiplier effect will start. They will say foreign media has uncovered this, and they will, Americans will say, we have learned from our own sources from Indian media. Actually, nothing is true. Fact finding, nobody is doing. So case for Khalistan, Sikh separatism. Indian Sikhs and Sikh diaspora, they are on a divergent kind of thing. Not everybody living in Punjab was demanding this thing. But followers of Bhindranwale, no. And ignorance of history played a part also. That Sikhs could say anything. They would say, I saw a letter from one of the persons in Britain, on the groups. They write articles and letters and like that. One of them was Indic Civilization Group. And a Sardar wrote the letter full of mistakes, English mistakes. And he said that Hindus should never touch our gurus. They are gurus, they were Kshatriyas, they followed Hindu traditions, common law. So they followed the same practices, right? So this nurturing myths and promoting myths to break India, this was CIA's pet project along with ISI. So now this propaganda is going on a whole different level to fight with Modi and get the Congress back, because Congress did promise them all kind of things. Congress funneled their illegal funds, corruption related funds, through ISI to Saudi Arabia, from there to Germany. And it was a whole this thing. It was exposed by Swami Subramaniam, the other way around, Subramaniam Swami. So obviously they are all together, one hand patting the other and vice versa. So liberation of Punjab did not come from Sikhs, but from the, this is another myth. The Sikh keep saying that Ranjit Singh was the first person who built the empire, Sikh empire, and he was the first person who went right up to Afghanistan border. That is not true. The liberation of Punjab did not come from Sikhs. It came from Marathas when Raghunath Pandit planted the saffron flag at Attock. Attock is famous for salt mines. And the birth of Khalsa Panth started in 16, after that, by the end of 18th century. Yes, with Guru Gobind Singh, right? And how can Guru Nanak be a Sikh person if the Panth itself is started that late? But then questioning minds are not there. You see, everybody says that where were the Hindus at that time? They are exactly where they are today. Sleeping doesn't bother us. So then there are India's enemies, Pakistan's enemies, jihadi terror group, universities. They are incubators of future mafia leaders. They are all combined, communist and Naxalites and youth wings of Congress Party and Muslim students funded by foreign countries. Indian intellectuals, they are the ones who really should be tortured every day, because they bear the brunt of this entire tolerance business. These are called secularists. Indian media, global media, internal Islamic groups, opposition secular parties, Christian NGOs, all of these enemies. And since all of those enemies are threatened now by Modi, there is a resistance to the government since 2014. Whatever he does for the good of the country, protest. Whatever he does, Kisan movement. Some political mafia comes and use the people, mislead them, give them money, bribe them, all of this combined. And this is Breaking India cover page reveals all that one needs to know and all that I could not explain in detail. And I think that should be, it is pretty long. I just gave the glimpses of the way things have been shaping up. And if anybody says that Hindus did nothing, they were incapacitated to do anything, even to think clearly. So, having said that, thank you very much for listening. It was pretty long. And now is the questions, if you have.
So, Auntie, as always, this was a very informative session. This is Naresh. I have one question. So I understand why, Western powers even started with Henry Kissinger and Nixon's time, in 71 war, right? They want to split India, make it weaken
Say it again. I was distracted a little
by
bit.
encouraging Khalistan. Sorry, I was saying I understand, at least in my memory from 1971 war, when Kissinger and Nixon, right, they were siding more with Pakistan. Why American administration subsequently would try to fund, CIA would try to fund, Khalistani and other separatist movements to break India or, make it weaken, right? But do you think with the rise of China, it is in America's interest now, and they will not have those divisive forces anymore, but to have a stronger, united India to stand against China? Otherwise, America has to send its own boys to fight the war and bring body bags home, which nobody likes here. So America will, for its own interest, not encourage Khalistani forces and separatists anymore. So India can confront China.
It is a very good point. You see, from the global perspective, there should be new alliances. You don't have to be bound by NATO and CETO and stuff like that. There should be, everybody should think that which alliance will be to our benefit. So if China is our enemy, then enemy's enemy, India, is our friend. Very simple. So, but unfortunately, America, for the last how many years, 4 presidencies, I must say, since 2008, is in its own hell. It is brewing up in its own, water. So nobody is thinking clearly. They cannot protect their own borders. Can they be anybody's ally? You see, they are not allies of their own country. The administration is not ally of its own country. How can they be friendly or trustworthy allies of everybody?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I see how woke movement is taking over here.
Time even to think about the future of America. You see, luckily, people of my age group will not be there to see the end game, but there is definitely going to be civilizational decline because when the demography changes and the previous predominant groups, they lose their place in the numbers, population, then the civilization is over. It happened to Roman civilization, Greek civilization, it happened to Egyptian civilization, every time. And it is going to happen to Indian civilization also with the decline of Hindus. So I think you cannot think of America America doesn't know its own interest right now.
Yeah, yeah, I tend to agree with you. Thank you, Auntie.
Okay, any other question?
Yeah, Kamlesh ji,
Hmm.
this is Nandi. Now see, I have quite a few questions, but I will ask only two questions here now. One is, Sanjay Gandhi died in a plane crash, but I strongly believe that it was an assassination. What do you think?
Say it again. I was trying to get rid of the
No,
screen.
no, I am saying Sanjay Gandhi. We people know that Sanjay Gandhi died in a plane accident, but I strongly believe that it was an assassination. At that time, he was doing that birth control and all these things, so he fell in favor of different communities, even maybe Sonia Gandhi. What is your take on?
It was Sonia Gandhi. Actually, it has. There was a guy, a gentleman, a writer. He
Uh,
wrote two articles, and he said that the third one will be coming soon. And he had given all the details what was going on in Indira Gandhi's house, how the
okay,
plans were being. Uh, she was seeing Italian friends, Sonia Gandhi, and planning, and how she got rid of Menka Gandhi, kicked out of Congress party, everything. So these things were done by in a very planned way, uh, and she did it sitting in Indira Gandhi's. Indira Gandhi also was fed up with Sanjay Gandhi. Not, and she probably did not care much what's going on, but it was sabotage. The fuel was taken out. Not the tank was not filled, so it had to naturally go a little above and fall down. So that crash was caused, and that same person researched, and the next research article was about how she got rid of Rajiv Gandhi.
yeah,
Because,
okay,
yeah,
yeah,
and the third was going to come out, and he was killed. He said that if you don't see the third article, that means somebody has gotten rid of me. I
okay,
assume that.
okay.
So,
So,
okay,
uh,
our question.
other question. I have another question. See this Tamil Tiger, the insurgency in Sri Lanka, and the Nepal, which was kind of the king was killed, and it was turned into a communist administration. So this was also done at the behest of Sonia Gandhi. Of course, the planning and strategy and all these things were determined by, obviously, the church and all those people. So, what is your take on that?
No, I explained this in the book. So
Okay.
please read the book on separatism and
Uh,
Sonia's role. It was started by the the Buddhists. You see, when they started ignoring the demand of the Tamilians, that the language should only be Singhali.
no, but
That's
see,
when it started. No, no, let us go
uh,
to the beginning in order to
okay,
come to the middle.
okay,
So, in the beginning, this is how it started. And then the Christian organizations thought this is an excellent way of bifurcating Sri Lanka in between Tamil and this thing, Sinhalese. And that way, we will be able to make a base. You see, the whole thing is that even today about the base in Colombo.
see, actually, Kamalesh ji, now the Tamils who started that, maybe they are Christians. And
He
then,
was a
one of,
Christian.
uh,
Prabhakaran was a Christian.
yeah, and
Yeah, I
then
said that it was taken over by them.
And then, say, like in India, they are trying to put the head of the state as one who is a Christian, the Gandhi families. Now they tried the same thing in Sri Lanka also, to have the Christian established in Sri Lanka, because Buddhists are strongly opposing any Christian effort to Christianize that country. So
Yeah, it is
they,
always, you have to see the events in one country in the context of the global geopolitics.
yeah.
Acha,
And
I will come back to you a little in a while.
uh,
प्रदीप मिश्रा जी, आपने हाथ खड़ा किया. हेलो, प्रदीप मिश्रा.
Yeah.
हाँ जी, आप हैं.
Yeah,
आप
actually, it was a very, a great session, and it was pretty informative. Yeah, but yeah, I just try to understand the reason, and that reason is not understandable. That Hindus have been seeing, those things for a long, long time, since 1947 at least. They had some power to elect their leaders, and there was Jansangh always, and then there came and
आपकी आवाज नहीं.
these people just think what is right for them and what is happening around them. So just it's pretty serious thing that intelligence is so low, or there is no history knowledge. There's no survive or fight. There are so many reasons. So it's mind-boggling to see that everything wrong is happening to Hindus, and still they keep voting for Congress, Samajwadi Party, Communist, and blah blah blah. I don't know how many parties are there. So this is shocking.
So what do you
Yeah,
think is
that's
the
a
reason?
very shocking.
They are not familiar with history. They do not know what is happening. I mean, nobody has heard about that groundbreaking book, Breaking India. That is the first thing. If nothing else, read the preface and thumb through the book. That's the best way of reading, big books. I read it cover to cover. I actually gave a feedback. So, same thing with my book now. How many people do care to read? I know only one person so far. And probably if you give me that book free, I would, the same book, my book, I may not be able to read the whole thing. I will skim through, see where it is going. You see, that is, for me, it is because of age. Otherwise, I'm prolific reader. I read every day, up to 11, 12. So, but not everybody is a reader. Not everybody is, I mean, not to use the word in a derogatory way, but there is a Banyapanti, you see, community, the sense of belonging to the community, that I am a community, part of the community, you are the community, I belong to this community. That sense of belonging and being welcome in that, you see. 40 years back, when we used to go to Gurdwara, there was, we were considered like, theek hai. 50 years back, more than that. I'm losing decades. In the 50s, we were fine. We used to go, that was the only place where we used to go, Gurdwara. But then things change. You see, things change because Hindus kept going and Sikh never came to a Hindu temple. So, and
Yep, that's right.
there is a disdain for Hindus. In Gujarat, one Hindu was going to a Gurdwara, and one of the guards with that kirpan, sword, and everything said, you can go inside and have your free langar. And then he said in Punjabi, Chalta ban. Then get lost. You see, this is a very recent thing. So I saw the picture also. What I'm saying is that we have sold our soul, the conscience. In Hindi we call it vivek, discernment. What is good, what is wrong, what is in between. You see, you can always be choosing between right and wrong, but you cannot always be in the gray area. That means you absolutely are confused and delusional.
Yeah.
You see, वही बात श्री कृष्ण said, धर्म धर्म की लड़ाई में, युद्ध में न्यूट्रल नहीं कोई हो सकता. You see, either you are on this side or this. So that is, if it was true 6,000 years back, 3,000 years back, 5,000 years back, it is true today also. If I say I am neutral, I am not. I am creating awareness for the simple reason that I am not now physically strong enough to do the activism. Otherwise, I would go shoulder to shoulder and pick up a fight with, quite a few groups. But I find that I don't have the stamina at this age, and I'm just doing the awareness thing. And if that is an eye-opener thing, and I will feel that I have succeeded in my mission. My mission is to create awareness. Jago. Get up, wake up. So do that. Okay. You see, there is a group related to this. Rajivji, what is that group? Where is the host? Gaib ho gaya. Acha. But in any case, there is a group which is Rajivji. What is the name of the group where everybody can pose a question and I can ask?
I'll send the link.
Yeah, please do that. Also send the link of the YouTube to everybody for the past 3 sessions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there's no ladies.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Kamlesh ji. It is always great experience to listen to you, and understand what went on in the past and what is happening now and what may be coming in future, unless we understand what you are saying, So that is.
Yeah, read the book.
I'll definitely buy the book.
This is the link.
Amazon, yes. It's something. Whenever I have time, instead of reading Gita, I think I should be reading your book.
Yeah.
I think everybody should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody should read the e-version. It is not and the art of reading and skimming is like this. You read the first, the preface, you know where it is going. And read the first couple of chapters, skim through the first paragraph, see the last conclusion of that chapter where Gandhi link is there.
Yeah.
And voila. In 2 days, you will be finished with the book.
Yeah, see,
this
Gandhi Nehru can be such great devils and traitors for the country. I had little understanding, but not to the extent you are saying. It's awful. It is kind of unthinkable, unimaginable. They should be completely purged from the Indian history, besides doing anything else. Thank you, Kamlesh ji. So you'll have a next session again?
In 14 days.
14 days, okay, good. Hopefully I should be able to listen to your lectures. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Auntie. And wish you a very happy Mother's Day. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Auntie.
you. Okay.